So today we have the Norco Site 2024, brand spanking new. We're going to hit the trails and see what's what. It has a horsed high pivot linkage system, so that's how the rear wheel axle will move differently to any standard bike that doesn't have a high pivot. It's got a sick spec on it. Fox fork, Kashima 36s up the front, 160mm with a DH X2 shock on the rear. A nice brand new EXO drivetrain, so we'll see how the wireless goes with the fancy two little buttons up at the front. Let's get into it. So I've had the site now on the few trails here in the bike park, and I must say I do actually enjoy it. I was kind of on the fence about high pivot bikes. A lot of high pivot bikes that I've ridden before seem a lot squishy, like a lot more when you're going trying to preload before a jump or something, it kind of sends you into the center of the wheels in between the bike. It doesn't really give you that pushback support. I must say this is different. It's got the characteristics of a high pivot bike, so the wheel moves exactly where you expect it to move. It moves out the way of the bumps, but you've got the support underneath your feet, and that's even with a coil shock on as well. Honestly, I didn't know what to think of it. I wasn't majorly impressed with the design, but the way that it rides is fantastic. I mean, the only thing I would change on this bike out of the box would be the fork. I'd just upgrade it to a 38. I'm a big believer that if any bike 150mm or higher travel should have a 38 on it. It's a bit more stiffer, it's a bit more supportive, a bit more, you feel it a lot more. I don't want to say this feels twitchy, but it does as such. Just that burlier fork up there would help it. So a 38 or a Zeb, something like that, would probably be on my bike if I had something like this. So we've put it through some paces here in the bike park. Now let's go take it some natural loam and see how it handles the real stuff. Oh, that is sloppy! Loam riding complete. So after riding it a little bit longer, there is a few other things that I would change other than the fork. I would definitely cut down the bars slightly, but that's to be known. I mean, they come at 800 so that everybody can cut to their size that they prefer. And I'd possibly run a bit shorter on the cranks as well. A couple of the deep ruts on the loam tracks there, and I could feel the pedal dragging in the side of the rut sort of thing. But like again, that's my personal preference. Out of the box, I'm very impressed with how this thing rode. It's so predictable, it's quick, it's fast. You can really push it into the corners, and the support, again, I'm going to keep talking about it. The support of this high pivot, fantastic. The other high pivot bikes that I've ridden do not feel like this. They feel like they're stuck to the ground too much. It must be my riding style. I'm more of a poppier sort of jumpy sort of guy, and I like a bike that can spring up and do that. And the other bikes that I have ridden that are high pivot, they don't seem to do that. They seem to stick to the ground a little bit too much for my liking. This, perfect. You've got the stick to the ground bit where you want it to, but when you want to release it and get it off the ground and throw it into a corner or put a bit of extra weight into it, it's there and it's supportive for you. Really impressed with it, really happy. It's a brilliant day riding. Ooh. Oh. It's on the GoPro.